Peace and blessings, brothers and sisters, coming to you with moment of facts, dealing with our issues within our family. Because I definitely noticed that within our society, we have a lot of issues in regards to relationships. And I'm speaking of not only just marital relationships, I'm talking about even when we're socializing amongst one another. It's a lot of mental illnesses that's going on in the midst of us. It's a lot of miseducation that's going on in regards to how a man is supposed to conduct himself towards a woman. It's been a lot of miseducation that's going on in regards to how a woman should conduct herself towards a man. And in a lot of situations, a lot of people have been unfortunately molested, raped. Some people have experienced, mental trauma. It could be prejudice. That's the reason why some melanated people hate, Caucasian people. It may have been brainwashing, the reason why Caucasian people, of course, hate us. So I'm dealing with one another in regards to social, the socializing side of the house. There's always a reason behind why somebody says, somebody does what they do. It's a reason why a man doesn't trust a woman. It's a reason why a woman doesn't trust a man. And so we have to get to the root of the problem. We have to get, to the root of what can we do to be able to help to resolve these issues that we're having, in the midst of our society. I know that, there are numerous reasons why, we are the way that we are, and I believe it's very important for us to start getting to the root of why we are the way that we are. Why do we hate? Why are we so angry? Why are we so bitter? That's the reason why, if you watch a lot of my videos, I deal with psychology. I deal with that a lot. I believe we have to be very philosophical, and we got to start getting a better understanding of one another, gender wise and ethnicity wise. It's so much going on today, even with tomorrow, Trump being inaugurated as the president. You have a lot of hate, a lot of discontent that's going on in our community today. The shooting, at the Martin Luther King Day parade, in Miami. And we are in a serious situation in our country, and I believe that the root problem is definitely morality. You hear me say this all the time. Ethics is a very crucial part of our life. It definitely does deal with, the reason why we interact the way we interact with each other, why we view each other the way that we view each other, why a man views a woman the way he views a woman, why a woman views a man the way she views a man. And we really got to get to the root of this. Why is our children and our child being raised in a single parent home? What's going on with us? What's happening to us? If you look back in the 60s, and then you go back farther than that, you look at the family structure. It's sad that even during slavery, brothers and sisters, our forefathers were structured. The families were structured. And look at us today. We're robbing. We're shooting. Our own brothers are shooting and sisters are hurting one another, at a Martin Luther King Day parade. It doesn't matter that, trust me, I'm not saying that, it's irrelevant of what day it is. What I'm saying is, that it's sad that even if it's not a Martin Luther King Day, parade, that we're still shooting and killing. We're fighting each other. You got mothers keeping the father from seeing, the child or the children because she bitter. You got men calling women female dogs, and, you got females calling one another female dogs. And I'm telling you, man, morality is a big part of it. It really is. And the reason why I say morality is, do you really believe that a person would have raped the person if they were a person of good morals? Do you really believe that that person would have robbed that person if they were good morals? You got to think about it. It's selfishness for somebody to rob somebody. Think about that. They don't think about that because they're just thinking about, I want money, you know, rather than them working, rather than them, just like all of us who work for what we have, they rather, you know, rob somebody. They rather steal from somebody. You know, they rather sell drugs. And a lot of times it's not because people don't have any other option. I understand that there's some people out there today. Now let's go back to, again, ethics. Do you think that that young man or that young lady would have had to turn to selling drugs if his mother or father was there for them at a young age? Because we have to face the reality that some of our young people are out here, because I know, I'm telling you, I go to the youth centers. Okay, I go to detention centers, brothers and sisters, and I talk to these young men. Okay, and some of their parents are strung out on drugs and they had to feed themselves. They had to feed their brothers and sisters. This is sad. This is sad. They're not old enough to get a job. They're not old enough to get a job. And then they end up to the system because of drugs and alcohol. And let's get to the root of why do our people turn to these substances? Because they turn to these substances because they're trying to handle an internal problem with a physical solution. And a lot of our people got to get to the root of the psychological problems that they're having, because I'm also a certified substance abuse control officer. When I was in the United States Marine Corps, it was called a SACO, a substance abuse control officer. I was certified. I went to school for this. Okay. I've dealt with plenty of people who had drug problems and issues. Okay. And so they try to take these substances to handle emotional issues. They drink themselves, you know, to death. They get high, you know, trying to handle their problems. And the truth of the matter is, once they come off that high from drugs and alcohol, their bills are still there. You know, their problems are still there. And so we got to come up with some good solutions in order for us to learn how to handle our issues, our problems. Unfortunately, some people even resort to violence. You know, anger management, you know what I'm saying, is another issue. A lot of our people are very frustrated, very angry. You know, they're trying to do the right thing. They're looking for jobs, you know, but then you have, you know, issues with affirmative action. You know, they're discriminating against them because of their ethnicity. All right. Then we got brothers, unfortunately, that are incarcerated. And I understand it's their fault why they got incarcerated. But, you know, you got the system set up to where if they got a charge, you know, that they can't even get a good job. OK, so we got to look at this thing holistically. We got to look at, again, the moral of the thing here, that these brothers are not even given a chance. You know, they messed up. They're trying to fix what they messed up. Nobody can change what they did, not justifying what they did. But how can these brothers have a fresh start when they're not given a chance to get a fresh start? And unfortunately, some of them, you know, mentally, they end up evolving and not evolving in a good way. They actually end up, you know, going back to doing what they were doing before, you know, and involving themselves in drugs and in crime, you know, in order for them to be able to make a living and what have you. You know, so we got to deal with these social and political issues that really are confronting us, and be honest with ourselves, you know, and be honest about what's going on around us. You know, it's a lot of selfishness that's going on too, man. It's a lot of people that are well off, that are melanated, okay, that are sitting at home behind their PCs, that are looking at their cell phones, you know, that are looking at the television, yelling, screaming, I'm tired of the injustice, but nobody is getting out here, you know, marching. Nobody is boycotting. Excuse me, I have to correct my terminology. I'm not going to say nobody. I'm going to say that some people, because that really is a very far-fetched statement. I would say some people, you know, are sitting there complaining, but not doing anything to help solve the solution. And you know, another thing that happens is this reverse psychology. Oh, things are going to change. Oh, you know what I'm saying? We're going to say something to them and they're not going to listen. They're going to want to do what they want to do anyway. You know what bothers me about that? What if our forefathers that fought for us felt that way? Will we be where we are today? Will we be where we are today because they said, well, they're going to resist us? Resistance doesn't mean that you give up. You know, endurance, you know what that means? Endurance means that you're fatigued, but you don't give up. Not to say that you're not going to get weary. Not to say that you're going to always feel like wanting to say something. Not to say that you're going to always want to feel like getting into a debate with somebody, you know, about your beliefs. Not to say that. But the reality is that we have to get to the root of our problem. Why is it that we're not taking action? For those who are not taking action, why are you not taking action? Why are you not getting out of here doing something to help be a solution to the problem? Okay, we gotta have a change of mind, brothers. I'm encouraging you. You know, whatever may have happened with that female that you had an issue with, man, let it go, man. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. Sisters, whatever happened to you, I know it was traumatic. I know, you know, that what you went through, that, you know, you received some lethal blows. You know, I understand that. Listen, I'm not defending our brothers. I'm not saying it's right for them to have lied to you. I'm not saying it's right for them to have abandoned you, your child and your children. And I understand that some men may have violated you. And I know it's not easy to get over that. You know, but what I'm encouraging you to do is to seek out help. Seek out some help so you can heal, sisters. Seek out some help so that you can go on with your life. Because I'm here to tell you right now, you know, that there is some good men out here. I'm faithful to my wife. I don't cheat on my wife. OK, I know there may be some men out here, you know, that are not faithful. I understand that. I got that. OK, but I want you to understand one thing, my sister. Have you taken out the time to sit down and think that that brother has not been taught well? Let me tell you from experience. It's not a lot of brothers that I grew up with, you know, that taught me how to be faithful to women. OK, a lot of brothers I know, you know, unfortunately, they're raised the wrong way. They're raised to have sex. You know, they're raised that they don't have sex, then they're a wimp. You know, they're not raised to, you know, respect women. OK, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, getting to the root of the problem. Why is he the way that he is? All right. Why does he think the way that he thinks? Because you also have these young men, unfortunately, that's being raised by rappers instead of being raised by a solid father. OK, and so, unfortunately, ultimately, that gangster rapper becomes that young man's role model, you know. And so now he listens to what his role model is saying. And so he wants to dress like him. He wants to talk like him. G's up, whores down, getting high, get money, you know, and just think about cars and jewelry and everything else like that. So a lot of these young men, unfortunately, we got to understand that, you know, you're educated not only by what you're being taught via academia, but you're also educated by what you see and what you hear. All right. And brothers, you got to understand, too, that some of these women feel the way that they feel because a lot of our brothers have, you know, played them. And for some of you brothers, man, I really highly recommend that you watch A Thin Line Between Love and Hate with Martin Lawrence. I'm serious. I believe a lot of you brothers need to watch that. And also, I highly recommend that you watch Diary of a Mad Black Woman by Tyler Perry. OK, I'm serious about this now. I really pray that some of you take this advice that I'm giving you. Watch that so you can understand how that woman really feels when you treat her that way. You know, it's a lot of boorishness. And for those you don't know what boorishness is, it means that, you know, you're not sensitive to the way somebody else feels. And so there's a lot of selfishness that's going on. You know what I'm saying? You know, a man just think about having sex and he lies and, you know, he says whatever he needs to say in order for him to have sex with that woman. And then that woman is left there mentally traumatized because you used her and abused her because you don't care nothing about the way she feel. There again, now we going to the root of the problem. Listen, that's not being a man, brother. Having as much sex as you want to have, you know, and getting high and getting drunk, you know, and walking around with your pants sagging. That's not what being a man is. I'm here to tell you, man, I can tell you this because I come from the ghetto. I grew up on the welfare system. All right. That's all I grew up around was gangsters and drug dealers. So I'm not telling you it's going to be easy in order for you to change, but we have to do something about, what's going on, man. And really, it all starts with the mind. Okay. We have to reshape our thinking. And parents, we have to do a better job at protecting the minds of our young people. We have to monitor what they're watching and what they're listening to. If it's not of good morals and good principles, then stop allowing them to watch those things. And we ourselves as adults need to stop, listening to and watching things that's going to form our mind and put us in the wrong mindset. Even as adults, we have these issues. So therefore, as adults, it's a domino effect. The adults don't have good morals, and thus they raise their children immorally because they themselves don't have good morals. All right. So we got to deal with this. We got to stop this Adam and Eve thing, too, in our community. And what I mean by this is pointing the finger. Adam pointed the finger at Eve, and Eve pointed the finger, at Satan. Now, I'm just using this as, a parable, so a story so that you can understand where I'm going with this. It's a lot of, people not taking accountability for their actions. The gangster rapper don't want to take accountability for what they say, and they leave it up to the parents. Then the parents, don't want to take accountability, and they leave their children up to the gangster rapper. And then they wonder why they having all the problems that they're having because of what they allow their children to do. They're not holding their children accountable. They're not being, as a parent, they're not being responsible enough. Then how can you expect your child or your children to be responsible when you're not being responsible? You know what I'm saying? So we have to get, a better set of morals, man. We got to get to the root of our problems. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of us that are walking around and we're mentally traumatized. We're mentally traumatized by slavery. We're mentally traumatized by redlining in our communities. We've been oppressed, and I'm getting tired of people talking like as if though oppression doesn't happen today, because oppression is still going on. It's still happening. It's happening politically now. It's still happening. Look at Trayvon Martin. Look at Sandra Bland. Look at Alton Sterling. Okay, and the list goes on. So we're fighting a psychological war here, brothers and sisters. And that's the reason why it's imperative, for us to get to the root of our problem. I want you guys to go to, if you would, I greatly appreciate it. And this is not for ratings. I'm not doing this to get paid. Okay. I'm not doing this for me to sell books and to get a large platform, for me to get, in that area, of selling books and selling DVDs and all that, because I personally don't care about that. I care more about you. I care about your soul. I care about, our people, minds being free from the chains that we're being shackled in. I want you to go to Black Community Empowerment. I want you to go to that page, and I want you to watch the video that I posted. Listen, this brother was going in on John Lewis, and it's a brother, and this man was defending Trump, and he was beating down John Lewis. John Lewis was a civil rights activist who laid down his life for him, and this brother is so brainwashed. He's calling John Lewis an MFer, calling him an SOB, speaking very ill. This is a slave mind. This is a slave mind. You got our brothers and sisters defending Donald Trump when this man has a staff, and these men are known to be connected with the Klansmen. We got to stop choosing between, two evils, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Hillary Clinton and Trump. We just got to be realistic about things, man. You know what I'm saying? This country wants us to pledge of allegiance. I want you, brothers and sisters, to look at allegiance. Look at what the definition of allegiance means. It means that you owe someone honor. How do we owe this country anything after all the things that have happened to us? Excuse me, please. How do we owe this country our allegiance when it's still redlining our neighborhoods? Gentrification. All right. These cops getting off on murdering our people. All right. And so I'm saying this for a reason. I'm talking about this is, and it goes right along what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is people still voting for the same people that's oppressing you and that's interacting with the people that's oppressing you. Why would you dare defend somebody who stand up and say, well, what do you have to lose? You know, look at you black people. Look at all the stuff you're going through. And we're so mentally messed up that we don't recognize this man is mocking us. This is psychological warfare. And we think that we're okay. We think that we need to leave the situation alone. We need just to sweep these things under the rug. I'm not sweeping this under the rug because you know what? I'm tired of seeing our people morally unstable. And I'm tired of seeing our people, matter of fact, fighting one another, shooting one another. Oh, soon as they see something on video, world star, glorifying corruptness. I'm tired of seeing our people glorifying corruptness. Then we looking at each other like, what's going on? What's happening? Why we are the way that we are? Because the very thing that's tearing away the fiber of our community is what people is fighting. And the issue is morality. And what I'm talking about is amongst us and these politicians that are in these positions, all right, that are brainwashed to believe that all we are is an asset. They want our money, but they don't want to listen. I want you brothers and sisters to hear me well. And I know some of you are probably tired of hearing about this. However, brothers and sisters, this is a reality that we all must face. That we have to become better in our morals and we have to be better in our ethics. We have to reshape our thinking. We have to come together. It's a must. And we can't give up just because some brainwashed, melanated brothers and sisters won't come along. Well, guess what? We still got a work to do. After the meeting is adjourned, okay, what are you doing in between the time where you are going to meet again? Are you putting in work? What are you doing for the community? Your children is okay. Your child is all right. But what are you doing to help your neighbor? See, we unfortunately, you know what has happened? We become just survivors and we're just thinking about ourselves and we're not thinking about nobody else. And this is the reason why we're not getting there. One of the many reasons why. It's because we're so concerned about ourselves. Listen, I go to the juvenile detention centers. If you want to know what I do, I'm connected with an OIC program here that helps people to find jobs. And my son is graduating this year. And I'm going to juvenile detention centers, educating them, these other young men, so that they can be blessed just like my son. I want to see all of our children have a chance. I want to see all of our adults, like myself. I'm fully retired. I had a career. All right. I'm very blessed. Things could be better. Things are tough for me. You know what I'm saying? But I don't tap out and go out there and sell drugs, you know what I'm saying? And poison our people just for me to get to the top. This is why I'm dealing with morality, because a lot of us are weak-minded. We tap out. We got our sisters stripping. All right. And I salute my wife, man. I salute my wife. My wife, you know what I'm saying? A very beautiful woman. You know what I'm saying? She was a single parent mother raising her children. Okay. And she went to college. All right. And it was tough for her. But you know what she did? She believed. She refused, to give in. You know what I'm saying? And yes, it was tough. But now she has a very well-paying job. Her daughter is going to college. Her son, is living on his own, got his own apartment. He's doing well for himself. He's not selling drugs or in crime or anything like that. She didn't tap out. See, what I'm saying is, just because things get tough, don't give in because things get tough. You got to fight. We got to stop being so weak and we got to learn how to fight. Sisters, Don't give yourself over to a man if he's not willing to marry you. You got to fight. Sister, I know it's tough. I know it's not easy raising your child or your children by yourself. But sister, you are better than that. You're not no sex toy, sister. You're better than that. And I'm here to tell you, regardless of the negative things that you heard about yourself, being called ugly, being called fat, you beautiful, but people jealous of you and they brainwash you. You have been raped. You may have been molested. Okay. I'm sorry to hear that. Sister, you somebody. Brother, you don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to just bounce a basketball. You don't have to just run a football. You don't have to resort to gangster rapping. You don't have to sell out, King. You just got to fight, my brother. You got to fight. We got to fight. It's not going to be easy, brothers and sisters, but we got to fight. I'm tired of seeing us tap out and selling our souls over $1. I'm tired of hearing my sisters calling themselves bees. I'm tired of seeing them dressing, promiscuous. And then they're wondering why. That's the reason why a man look at you, because it's the mindset. It's the law of attraction. Stop calling yourself ugly. Stop saying that you're a nobody because you don't have a mansion and you're not driving a Bentley and you're not driving a Benz. Brother, stop feeling like that you're nobody because you're not pulling in 6 figures. If you work at McDonald's, brother, have some pride that guess what? You got a reason to be proud, brother, because you could have sold drugs. You could have started robbing. You could have started stealing, but you didn't resort to do that. It may not be a prestigious job, but guess what? There's more to being a king than what's in your bank account, brother. It's more to being a king than that, brother. It's about having good morals and manning up and handling your responsibilities, regardless of how you get along with that baby's mama or those children's mother. Man up, fight, go to court, do what you need to do. You got to fight, king. You got to be a warrior, man. You got to come from behind that football game. It's okay to watch sports. It's okay to watch TV. It's okay. But what I'm saying is, where's your time being spent at? Have you taken out any time to impact somebody else's life? Brother and sister, this is what I'm here to tell you. Have you taken out time to affect somebody else? It's okay to enjoy life. But when we get one track and all we want to do is get on airplanes and we just want mansions and we just want cars, and that's all we're thinking about is money, 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 and how can I benefit me? Then we lost track. And we're lost because it's more to life than things. Life does not consist in abundance of things that one has. You got to guard your heart, for out of it flows the issues of life, brothers and sisters. We are bigger than this. We are better than that. We just got to learn how to fight. And we got to learn how to take correction. If you know that woman not for you, brother, don't sleep with her. If you know that sister, she may carry herself like a whore, why don't you tell her, sister, don't carry yourself like that? Sister, you better than that. Sister, don't do that. You barely even know me. No, sister, I'm not coming over your house. You know, your children are there. We don't even know whether or not we're meant to be together. We don't even know. And sister, I don't care how long it's been since you had sex. All right? Don't sell yourself out over a moment worth of pleasure. Don't end up giving yourself over to a man and now you got a child with a man that's not even present in your child and children's life because of loneliness, because you discouraged. No, sister, fight. It may be tough, but fight for you. Fight for your child. Fight for your children. You are valuable. And if he don't see you as valuable, then he need to keep it moving. You keep your panties up. And brother, you know she ain't the one for you, then you need to keep your zipper up. Stop playing with these sisters' emotions, man. These sisters are not just there for your sexual pleasure. Man up and be a man and be committed to that woman. And let's start raising our families with two parents in their homes. Enough of this lust. You don't want to hear it. You don't want to hear it. But that's the reason why STDs are going around. That's the reason why our children and our child are being raised up in a single parent home, because of our flesh. People don't want to hear it. But the very thing that you're ignoring is the very thing that's destroying us as a people. We have to get a better set of morals. We got to start holding each other accountable. And that's the bottom line. We got to heal mentally. We got to get it together economically. We got to get it together as a family unit. Man, where is so much of this hate coming from? When I was a kid, man, I couldn't even walk down my street without being chased by another brother. Didn't even know them. And they didn't even know me. Never did nothing to them. But chasing me and trying to hurt me. This is sad, brothers and sisters, because it goes back to morals. How can you just look at a man, don't know a man, and hate a man? It's time for us to really take a self-analysis. Yes, the white man is oppressing us. But guess what? Isn't this a sad day that we sandwiched? Brothers and sisters, we're sandwiched. Not only is the oppressor oppressing us, but our own people. We got inside jobs going on. Robbing, killing. Our grandmothers. I remember a time where we can sit there with our door open, don't have to worry about nobody breaking in the house. Now you got people that'll rob you and kill you and take what you have. And we're all in the same boat. Isn't that sad? We're all in the same boat. We picking at each other. We're all on welfare. I remember that going to school. You just as poor as the next man, but you picking on them. You know what I'm saying? You know, the kids got on Jordans and the other kid don't have nothing, and they got a closet full of clothes. And rather than saying, here, brother, here, sister, I got a dress. And it happened amongst adults too, laughing at your car. You know what I'm saying? Laughing at where you live. But what are you doing to help your brother and your sister? You move out, you move into a good neighborhood, but what are you doing to help them out economically? And they'll look up, they'll stick up their nose at you and don't want to come near you, around you like you're a plague. You know why? Morals. The mind. Brothers and sisters, the time is right now. The time is now, brothers and sisters. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, not next year. The time for morals is now. We may not agree with each other's religions. We may not agree with that. But our children are dying out here. We sitting up here fighting about who a Christian, who a Muslim, you know, consciousness. We're fighting about this foolishness and our children are dying. We need to think about morals. We need to think about education. That's what we need to think about. We need to love. That's what we need to do. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We got to stop this, man. We need to focus at the situation at hand. We are not each other's enemies. And that's what we've made each other to be, is enemies. We're not each other's enemy. We need love, brothers and sisters. We need love. And the root of this, excuse me, the root of this is morals. It's morals. It's our minds. It's time for us to heal. It's time for us to get healed mentally. It's time for our broken hearts to be healed. It's time for us to forgive. It's time for us to move on. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but are you willing to do that to see the survival of our people? Lay down the guns, brothers. Lay down the bandanas. Lay down the alcohol. Lay down the drugs. And it's time to fight. And love is how we fight. Not a gun. And if it resort to a gun, then we just got to pick up the gun. It's all right. We got to defend ourselves. It's okay. But don't you go do it. Let's stop tearing up our neighborhoods like these crackers really care about us. And I say cracker, I'm talking about an oppressor. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about all Caucasian people. A cracker is because of the whip, the sound of the whip. That's why I say cracker, oppressor. All right. I'm not prejudiced. I'm talking about fighting against oppression. We got to stop cracking on each other, and we better start fighting against these political issues we're having. And we can only do that with love, man. I don't have to yell and scream and use profanity for me to get my point across. I don't have to curse you to get my point across. And it's a lot of disrespecting each other. It's all this hollership instead of scholarship that's going on. We need to sit down and come on some common ground and have a civil conversation. And let's stop pointing. Women, listen, you can sit up there and talk about a man all day. Guess what? I can point some things out about a woman. Now what? Now what are we going to do? We all know we got issues. Why are we talking like as if though each other the problem? No, you know what the problem is? It's the mind. It's the mental trauma. It's our hearts that's the problem, brother and sister. This is not a gender thing. It's not about a man. This is not about a woman. This is about the mind. And if your mind is not stable, if you lost your mind, then you know why? You're lost because your mind is lost. Because your mind is not stable. That's why you got to guard your heart and your mind, for out of it flows the issues of life. I'm going to tell you something. If you don't forgive, you'll never find a wife, brother. If you don't forgive, sister, you'll never find a husband. If you don't heal, brother, you'll never find a wife. Sister, you don't heal, you'll never find a husband. Enough of this pointing fingers at each other. Let us both heal. Let us both deal with our issues. Let us both love ourselves. Then we can love each other. Then we could come together as a family, and then we can fight and we can survive. This is about survival. It's time to heal. Peace and blessings. Love you.